Welcome to the Becoming You show, where limits get torched and possibility takes the mic. I'm Leah Roling, human in permanent beta, neurostrategist, mom to 3 amazing humans, married to 1 legendary soul, and your no fluff permission slip to stop waiting. Every week, we rewire brain patterns, smash hand-me-down mindsets, and dive into the daring, identity-shifting conversations most people dodge. Ready to turn potential into proof? Grab your pen. Your next chapter starts now. Hello, my friends. How are you? I am your host, Leah Roling, and this show is really to explore what I like to call the inner boardroom of your mind, the thoughts, the emotions, the behaviors that really create the results of your life and of your leadership. And today we're talking about something that I believe is incredibly misunderstood. It's watered down. It's hashtagged into oblivion, and that is vulnerability. But not just any vulnerability. We're talking about the kind of vulnerability that requires you to be seen without control. Now, I want to pause there because that phrase, kind of being seen without control, when I had it over the weekend, I'm like, I'm going to break this down because it can kind of sound poetic, but it's actually what I think is possibly the deepest paradoxes of modern leadership. Okay? Because we all want to be known. We all want to have impact. We all want to be influential. But we spend an enormous amount of our time and our energy curating how we're known, right? Control is that mask, right? That it's kind of that mental editing process that says, let me make sure this looks right before anyone sees it, right? It's let me manage how they perceive me so I don't lose authority, so that I have their approval, right? It's let me appear transparent while not being touchable, okay? That's what I mean by without losing control. But vulnerability, real vulnerability, it's not recklessness. It's releasing the need altogether to manage that perception, right? It's the moment that you let your truth walk in the door, walk in the room before your strategy does. It's when you stop airbrushing your humanity to protect your credibility. It's when your energy says, I can't control what you think of me, but I can stand true in who I am. It's giving people permission to be wrong about you. And I don't think that's weakness. I think that's sovereignty. And that's what we're going to explore today. What vulnerability is, what it isn't, why it's hard, and the kind of thinking required to live it. Okay? Not as a buzzword, but really as the blueprint for leadership. So what is vulnerability? What is it? As I mentioned, I believe that vulnerability, in the way that I have defined it, is the courage, and that is a very important word, and I will get to that in a bit, but it's the courage to be seen without control. As I mentioned, it says, this is who I am, even if you don't approve. This is what I feel, even if it's inconvenient. This is what I need, even if it scares me to ask. This is what I'm going to do, even though it will make you uncomfortable, right? It's really the birthplace of trust and innovation. And I'm going to call it true connection and therefore belonging, okay? And yet it's one of the things leaders resist. Not because there's anything wrong with us, but because we've been taught that Credibility comes from control, when in fact, I think it comes from courageous congruence, right? That alignment of self. So that's what it is. Why is it hard, right? Why is it hard? It's hard because we have been conditioned, as I mentioned, to equate our safety with control, to create our safety with certainty. Think about this from a very young age. We heard things like be good, be strong, be impressive, stay in the lines, don't make waves, just kind of keep your head down and stay out of trouble. Stay out of trouble, right? Think about that. Every be, be good, be strong, be impressive, be kind, be nice, was about behavior, not being. So when we step into vulnerability, we're not just risking rejection, right? We're disrupting decades of programming. We're saying that I'm willing to let go of control, to let go of manipulation, to let go of certainty for the sake of true connection. And that feels terrifying to our nervous system because it interprets openness as danger. Vulnerability asks us to loosen our grip on the image that keeps us accepted, keeps us performing, keeps us pretending, keeps us people pleasing. Vulnerability asks us to loosen that grip so that we can actually be real and true to who we are, not true to somebody else's comfort. Does that make sense? And so, as we bring vulnerability back into the conversation, I bring forward one of my very favorite coaching tools that I use to really think about where vulnerability goes. What is it? How do we get to it? So, I teach this model and I call it the STEER model: situation, thought, emotion, action, result, because I really want to bring forward that the situation, whatever it is, isn't what's making you unsafe. It's your thoughts about it that's making you unsafe. Okay, we have to know that this is the basis, this is the foundation for the conscious coaching and the work that I do, right? Situations are neutral. Thoughts are the meaning that we give the situation. Thoughts are the reason for our feelings, right? Every single feeling is because of a thought in the mind, not because of something outside of ourselves. So when we know that, we know how to access vulnerability without changing other people, without changing situations, circumstances, events. Okay. So what does this look like in real time? Let's just say you're leading a team and it was supposed to go this way and it went this way. And that could be inferred as a mistake. Okay. And you have a thought about that situation. And that thought is, if I admit this, I'll lose credibility. If I admit this, I won't be seen as an effective leader. Okay. That is the thought, friends, that makes you feel shame, that makes you feel fear. It's not that you led a team and you made a mistake. That is not what makes you feel shame. That is not what makes you feel afraid. That's not what makes you feel unworthy. What makes you feel fear, shame, and unworthy is the thought about that situation. We have to know that. We have to know that. And we also have to know that when we're in shame, when we're in fear, when we're in feelings of not enough or not worthy, okay, we show up. We behave based on the fuel of that feeling. Feelings fuel behavior, okay? And when we're feeling shame, when we're feeling unworthy, guess what we do? We hide, we spin, we overcompensate. And a lot of us blame that behavior on the situation, but it isn't the situation's fault. It's never the situation's fault. It's always our mind's fault. It's always our thinking's fault. Okay? And that hiding, spinning, overcompensating, over ruminating, all of the things that we do in our action line when we're feeling shame, fear, unworthiness creates results in our life. And the results in this model is disconnection, distrust, exhaustion. Okay? But when you shift that thought to instead of if I admit this, I'll lose credibility. What if we admit this, we build trust? Just that thought changes the entire sequencing, the entire coding of how you experience that given situation. Okay? If I admit this, I'll build trust. We have a feeling then that becomes courage. That courage becomes ownership. We behave in ownership. And the result of that ownership is connection. We like to think vulnerability is an emotion, but I'm here to tell you that it all starts with our thinking. You cannot feel safe enough to be seen until you think differently about what safety actually means. So listen to this. If I show emotion, I'll look weak, right? That becomes if I show emotion, I'll look human. If I ask for help, they'll think that I can't handle it. That could become consciously, if you chose, if I ask for help, they'll know that I can be trusted. If I make a mistake, I'll lose authority, can become, if I own it, I'll gain integrity. That's the power, friends, of conscious thought. It creates the emotional safety that we have been outsourcing. So imagine a CEO addressing her team after what might be a quote unquote failed launch. That's not a fact, by the way. That's a thought, okay? Her old thinking might be, I need to appear confident here, okay? The new thinking might be, they just need my honesty. They need more my honesty and my humility more than my perfection. And that one decision shifts an entire culture. Ask me how I know. People don't follow perfection. They follow truth. They follow presence. They follow vulnerability, right? Or maybe we've got a team leader who notices that performance is slipping and this old thinking creeps in. How many times do I have to tell them what to do? Because that plays out in the model in a way that doesn't create the results that actually gets them to do what it is that is required for them to do in order to create the results that you need for your business. That new thinking asks, reminds us, invites them, I need to understand what's really going on. That's our job. Our job is to understand what's really going on with them. The first one, how many times do I have to tell them what to do? That just creates distance, disappointment, and discouragement. I need to understand what's really going on, creates dialogue. It creates compassion. It creates curiosity. It creates connection. Vulnerability doesn't lower the standard. It just raises the humanity. So, we talked a little bit about what it is. We talked a little bit about why it's hard. Let's talk about what it isn't. What it isn't. Because let's be clear. Vulnerability isn't dumping. It's not confession for validation. It's not emotional chaos dressed up as, oh, I'm just being authentic, right? Vulnerability without boundaries, without this type of consideration, becomes volatility. And then you will begin to believe that you're doing it wrong. Okay? Vulnerability says, here's my truth. Here's my truth. Oversharing, dumping says, here's my pain. Please fix it. Avoidance altogether says, here's my mask. Pretend with me. Do you see the difference? And we can find ourselves in all of them. Real vulnerability, the vulnerability that says, here's my truth. I'm going to own it. I'm just going to share it with you. That's clarity. Okay? It's self-responsibility, but with heart. So when I was thinking about where we typically fall in vulnerability, I was thinking that there are three ways. Okay, there are three ways that we express vulnerability: dumping, disguising, and disclosing. They're the three D's of vulnerability. And I'm guessing you'll probably find yourself in one of them, if not all of them, from time to time. But only one of those creates real connection. So let's talk about dumping. Okay. Dumping is when emotion, right, rushes out faster than ownership can catch up, right? It's emotional vomit, I like to say, okay? And what it sounds like, right, is it sounds like, I can't believe this is happening again. I'm exhausted. No one listens. How many times do I have to say it? Why doesn't anybody ever appreciate me? Okay? The intent, I get it. It's release. But the impact is burden. It's burden. It's dumping says, here's my pain. Please hold it for me. Please fix it for me. Please validate it for me. Please make it go away. Okay? True vulnerability doesn't ask for rescue. You don't need rescued. You don't need rescued. So where we can reframe the dumping is it shifts from no one listens to me, I don't feel heard, right? It shifts to I'm noticing I'm feeling overwhelmed and unheard. Can we talk about how to realign? That's ownership. That's maturity. That's power. So vulnerability is not dumping. It's not dumping. I also see vulnerability show up in disguise. Okay. I like to call disguising is the armor of composure. And boy, do I do that one well. I do this one way more than I dump. I disguise more than I dump. Okay. It sounds like it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. We're fine. It's emotional editing. I call it control in a tailored suit. It looks professional, but it feels lonely. And what we don't express because we're too busy finding it away, right? Doesn't disappear. It just leaks. It just leaks. When we disguise, we trade authenticity for approval. I'm fine. I'm fine. What's going on with you? How can I help? What's going on with you? How can I solve? Whatever your DNA wired to do is what you'll find your way out of to bring forward into a conversation in order for approval. That was my MO. And that silence doesn't create safety. There's an illusion of safety. There's an illusion of approval, but there isn't safety. There's false approval and there's massive separation, right? And so what this could look like if we weren't finding our way out of our own life, it might look like, you know what? I've been holding back here because I didn't want to disrupt the peace. I didn't want to cause tension. I didn't fill in the blank. But I think silence here might be doing more harm than it is good. That's leadership through vulnerability. And then there's disclosing, right? That is the path to connection. That is the space where this vulnerability lives, right? Disclosure is what happens when you trust yourself to hold your truth long enough to share it clearly. It's emotion with boundaries. There's a pause between the synapse of that emotion and your response. It's honesty with ownership. But this is hard because, as I mentioned, most of us were never taught how to disclose, right? We were taught how to dump. That was what was role model to us. We were taught how to disguise. That was role model to us, right? We dump when we don't trust ourselves with our emotions. So we just want to vomit them and lay them down at the feet of someone else. We disguise, right, when we don't trust others with our truth because we fear that they might leave us. We fear that they might abandon us. We fear that they might not love us, right? So disclosure is really the bridge between both, right? It says, I can feel this. I can feel this emotion. I can name this emotion. I can own it. I can take extreme responsibility for it, and I can share it. I can share it without collapsing, and I can share it without controlling. So, what truth? What truth are we hiding? Either in dumping by oversharing or by disguising by undersharing. Maybe our truth is that we're tired. Maybe the truth is that we're resentful. Maybe the truth is that we're scared. We're scared that if we stop performing, if we stop pretending, if we stop pleasing, then we'll stop being valued. Those are the truths that we swallow for peace. Those are the truths that we swallow for other people's benefit. Although, friends, they never asked us to do it. These are the truths, the very ones that need to be spoken for our own healing, for our own ability to connect with ourselves for real, and therefore be able to connect with one another. So I want you to ask yourself, what conversation are you not having? What conversation are you disguising by emotional dumping? Or what conversation are you disguising by fining? Right? What truth do you continue to label fine just to stay comfortable? Because we're not comfortable with other people's discomfort. We prefer to protect their peace over our own. And what would happen if we were just able to say it calmly, clearly, without control? What would happen if we took massive ownership of it? It is ours, by the way, and shared it freely without needing to blame. So, as we close, here's the thing: control, it's clever. It's clever. It hides behind excellence. It it wears calm like armor and calls it leadership, but it doesn't create connection. It constricts it. We think we're protecting our power, but we're really protecting our distance. Vulnerability isn't losing control. It's releasing the illusion that you ever had it. Because the moment you stop performing for approval, pretending for power, you start leading from alignment. That type of vulnerability doesn't make you fragile. It makes you free. I know. So, when you dare to be seen without control, when you move from performing to presence, from pretending to peace, from composure to connection, and from fear to freedom, you step into the truest, most youest you. That's the you that people want to know. People are not inspired with you being perfect. They're inspired by your permission of yourself to be unfinished. So, beautiful friends, take off your armor. You don't need it. Lead with the truth of you and let the world meet the real you. Because that right there is the power of being seen without control. And coming home to the real you is the best gift that you can give both the world and yourself. And you, my beautiful friend, will forever be thankful. Have a beautiful one, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye. If this episode cracked something open, good. Let it. And then head to leahrolingcoaching.com and grab the tools to rewire the story and reclaim your future. It is yours. And then share this with someone who's still waiting to be chosen, still waiting for permission, and remind them they don't need a breakthrough, that they are the breakthrough. Until next time, my beautiful friends, invest in you and keep becoming.